A Senate ad hoc committee chaired by Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. is set to visit Solai Dam tomorrow, and the senator called preliminary report on the tragedy pedestrian and has alluded that some forces could be interfering with investigations on the dam tragedy. Our reporter Patrick Amimo is joining us now live for a conversation with the senator as we just try and understand some of the claims that he's making. Patrick, good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon, Akisa. Apparently, I've said you've taken me straight to Solai matters, but initially I planned to discuss with the infrastructure projects regarding county governments, but then I think that will now come later. Now that you've said that we go Solai, I'll scrutinize this. Tomorrow we see the senator will be visiting the Solai site. Already there are concerns that the senator says that there are people who've been maybe trying to kill this story. We saw earlier in the day there were reports that people in Solai had been demonstrations had been organized against against those who want this matter probed further and probably if those who are culpable face prosecution. Joining me is the Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. Just on this matter, you are going to visit Solai Dam tomorrow, and already I've seen that some people apparently they are demonstrating against the DPP action to order arrests for those individuals who could be culpable in this tragedy.
Yes, I've seen and I've heard that some people have organized demonstrations against the direction of the DPP. It doesn't bother me. Nobody is going to stop the long arm of the law dealing with the perpetrators of what happened in Solai Dam. The recommendations have already been done. The Senate committee will be on site. The cabinet secretary, his team in the water ministry will be in Solai tomorrow, so that we can ourselves listen to the people. There are stories about people who have been given 100,000 shillings, others 1 million shillings. Those are the things we are finding out. We are doing a fact-finding mission so that anybody who thinks they can stop the truth should wait, because we are going to tell the country what had happened in Solai. I'm glad that as we speak, the information that Solai Dam was not licensed and was a weir. The application that was made by the owners of Solai Dam was a weir, and they ended up blocking a river and having 190 million liters, which killed 47 people, is a matter in the public domain. No amount of demonstration, no amount of protest, no amount of intimidation, no amount of bribes will stop the facts and the truth, whether it's this committee or any other person. That is going to come out.
Indeed, as you do investigate this particular matter, it's like there are also the divisions even at the county level itself, even involving politicians and some of those individuals, even maybe those officials, maybe in charge of say NEMA or WARMA, with regard to this particular matter. And already there are maybe calls being made left, right, and center. Could it be that there are some powerful individuals who are maybe behind it and they want to kill this story, despite the fact that 49 deaths were reported and massive dislocation of people and destruction of property?
Now, it's surprising and amazing, because the people who are responsible for licensing, inspecting the dam came to the Senate without the reports and the inspection of that dam, number one. Number two, unknown to them, they even came with applications that appear to have been replicated since 2004. I am 100% persuaded, I don't need to sit as chair, to be persuaded that WARMA were compromised in this case, NCA were compromised in this case. The regional coordinator of NCA recorded the issues using his phone, took pictures with his phone, and produced a report within 1 day, which suggested this was an accident. But at the same time, confessed in his report that somebody in Solai attempted to what is called ukarabati off the dam to try and stop it from breaking. So that person should have been named, and they knew that that person was attempting to do that. But in their report, they say, in any event, it was an accident. The reports given by the cabinet secretary himself demonstrate this was not an accident. This was something that was connived, agreed. Somebody turned a blind eye to an illegality, but that illegality led to the death of 47. Now, the report by Red Cross tells us that while we are talking about the 47 who are dead, there are over 200 children who have been affected. Nobody's talking about our children. Those children have been traumatized. Some saw their own peers being carried away in the water. So we want to say, please, can we talk about the human beings, not the owners. They are not gods. The institutions, none of them, including the ministry, through Warma and others, has come to the Senate with a concrete report. That can only be a cover-up. And that's the reason why they were attempting to make phone calls, attempting to stop people. The county government officials and national government officials were there when these payments were being done by the Patel farm. These ones that are reported in the press today. Why would they participate in what appears to have been a cover-up of the situation? And the person who is giving this payment is saying, I'm giving you this payment as a token because I'm not admitting liability. We must interrogate these facts so that then we can help this country. This is not about Solai. This is about Kenya. Can you have a dam of this size in your property and not take precautions? This is about Kenya, not about the owners of Solai.
In fact, and I've seen your committee was very firm. When NEMA and NCA appeared before your committee with some fecal answers, you did send them away and told them to come up with substantive maybe issues on this Solai dam. Will you get to the bottom of the matter with regard to this Patel dam?
In fact, as a result of us, the correct word is that we threw them out. As a result of our engagement with NCA, they have directly procured a forensic dam expert. I have the letters confirming that they will do an interrogation. Same with NEMA. They are supposed to go there and do an audit. The fact is that this country is watching. If they don't do the job, the recommendations will follow. And those recommendations are not going to be nice. I'm happy that the DPP has taken action because this has jolted the government officials who think that this is a joke to learn that when in your office and you commit or omit, you'll be equally liable for negligence.
Thank you, Senator, on that. But now turning on another interesting matter with regard to the governor's expenditure. We've seen 2018-2019 financial year, governor's residence like in Kirinyaga to spend 100 million shillings, a deputy governor's residence in Kilifi, 214 million shillings, an executive headquarters office in Nyandarua, 800 million shillings, speaker's residence in Kilifi, 200 million shillings, an assembly office in Kilifi, 500 million shillings, and maybe like Nyandarua also an assembly office costing 442 million shillings, and in Nyandarua, executive headquarters costing 800 million shillings. Your committee, the Senate Budget and Finance Committee, said these expenditures are exorbitant. You want SRCs to stop these projects until pending further investigation. Why the concern from the Senate Budget and Finance Committee?
First of all, SRC issued a circular. That circular had preposterous figures. In fact, what the figures you're seeing here are like nursery school stuff. They had issued circulars to the extent that governors' residences would go up to 400 million. CRA flagged this issue, brought it to our attention, and we told them, go back to SRC and bring us the justification for building a home in the village, in Lamu, in Wote, and in Turkana for 400 million. When they brought back the suggestions, in fact, the figures have scaled down from 400 million to 45 million. However, county assemblies for this financial year have budgeted preposterous figures from 15 to 100 in Kirinyaga and many other places, from 15 to 200 million in the case of Kilifi. And one wonders, why would you have a house of 214 million in the poorest country or county in the country? It doesn't make sense. But since we want this standardized, the Senate Finance Committee, after receiving a report and realizing that there is no collation of information that is standard, there is no standard operating procedure, the Ministry of Public Works, the officer who issued the first circular, is the same person who has issued the same circular without justifying those circulars. Because we are wondering, if you reduce the figure from 445 to 45, did you remove a swimming pool? Did you remove a boxing ring? Did you remove a sauna? What exactly did you remove? What is happening? Do they have indoor pools? Since we don't have those figures and it's not standard, we want to make sure that Kenyans get value for money. And that value for money is having standard houses. There's no reason why a speaker in one county should have a bigger house than the speaker from another county. There's no justification. Because if you live in a small county and you live in a bigger county, there's no justification for having such a disparity it can only point to corruption. We have told SRC, because the SRC Commission is not in place, we have asked that the Control of Budget stops any release of funds for any new projects from now henceforth, until we sit down with Public Works, SRC, we sit with the agencies and ask them, why isn't it possible to do standard housing like you used to have for former provincial commissioners? The presidents used to leave Nairobi, they go to Kakamega, is a state lodge. That state lodge is the same that you will find in any other district. And therefore, there is no reason whatsoever to build homes worth that amount. And therefore, please, there's no reason why the Speaker of Nairobi has been given a house of 130 million. Alongside that figure, they have not told us whether they are buying land or the land is available. Number two, they have also not told us whether they are going to furnish it. We don't know whether they have sofas or they are bringing sofas from Dubai. So that sort of expense is not possible, is not plausible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. from Makueni also just trying to tell us on the need to have value for our money, especially with regard to county governments. Most taxpayers' money has been lost through these particular infrastructural projects, and now we see the Senate Finance and Budget Committee wants to see accountability so that taxpayers out there get value for money. From Parliament Building, I'm Patrick Amimo. Akisa.
Patrick, thank you very much. Covering two very important stories for us. One, the Solai Dam and the committee that is expected to go there tomorrow, led by Senator Mutula Kilonzo. And of course, that very committee also wants county infrastructure projects stopped until further investigations. Patrick Amimo is our senior parliamentary reporter. What you were seeing on the other side of your screen was the court session in Naivasha. 4 of those accused in the Solai Dam tragedy probe are appearing before court. I just want us to quickly cross over there live and listen in.
Odo Odiambo, Jessica Were, Willik Omondi Were, Linet Jepchirchir Cheruyot, Johnson Kamau Juguna, Julius Kabito. You are charged with.
One moment, please. Let me identify first and foremost. Does the prosecution not have a noticing my assistant is using the court's copy of the file of the charge sheet? Do you not have one that to be used by the court system?
Yes, I've given an extra copy.
Yes, thank you.
And then, please, Your Honor.
Yes.
And first and foremost, I wish to apologize for the delay in presenting the charge before you. We sincerely apologize for that.
And you
Okay, court, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm Miss Mwaniki. Miss Mwaniki, appearing with Mr. Owiti.
Present, Your Honor.
Mr. Owiti. And Miss Duarte.
Present, John.
For the state.
Your Honor, the first and second accused is Effie Omondi, Boniface Masinde, and myself, Evans Monai. Effie Omondi and Boniface Masinde are the first and second accused persons.
Please, Your Honor, Lawrence Karanja and Maureen Bitunda. Maureen Bitunda for the 8th accused person. Maureen Bitunda.
Your Honor, only 2 accused persons are present.
Yes, just a minute.
Only 3 accused persons are present. That is the first, second, and 8th accused person. Your Honor, for the other others were duly notified, but they failed to turn up or present themselves before the DCI Nakuru. We pray that we be allowed to make the application for warrants of arrest after the plea is taken in regard to the three, subject to the court's direction.
So we have only Perry Masu, Lord Kumar, and Johnson Kamau.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, when was these charge sheets prepared?
They were prepared today, yes. But upon the instructions of the DPP, the DCI regional office were instructed to arrest all the suspects, that's the 9 accused persons before appearing in the charge sheet. Yes. But unfortunately, only 3 were able to only have the 3 before you. The others, some have switched off their phones. They are not at their place of work.
Well, presume that you would have had only a charge sheet with that. Only the accused persons were present.
We were hoping that they would get to Naivasha this afternoon, but unfortunately, it's only the 3 who were here. But subject to the court's directions.
I was saying that, but now that the charge sheet is here,
yes.
because ordinarily that would be the process you take. And then you ask for amendment later on. Nevertheless, so you wish us to proceed with this charge sheet?
Yes, as it is, with the 3, then subject to the court's direction. Again, if the court can give us warrants of arrest, we'll be able to agree them before this court in good time.
Okay.
It's not to point out that yesterday, when it became known on social media to the first and second accused, they made immediate steps to see the DCIO and call the office of the DPP. And this morning we all came to the DCIO in Nakuru and subsequently here. So we did not come here under pain of arrest. We brought ourselves.
Yes.
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 I will also confirm for the accused when that information was communicated. He was called by the county commander. He went, he was told he is required today so that he can appear in court. This morning he went again, and that's how he came here. So it's not because he was arrested, it is he who took him yesterday. He was told just go and come tomorrow. And then today he came here.
Okay. Nevertheless, you are ready to take a plea?
The charge with
Four accused persons in the Solai Dam tragedy probe appearing before the Naivasha Law Courts to answer to charges of manslaughter. One of them, of course, being the managing director of the Patel Limited, as well as the general manager also appearing before the court. There are 9 people accused in this particular case, spread over from the Water Resources Authority to the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, as well as those from the Patel Limited. We continue to keep our eyes there. Our Elfas Lagat is at the Naivasha Law Courts. He will continue to bring us updates in our subsequent bulletins on what really is happening in court. But for the next 30 minutes, we take a look at what